I, she, her.
I'm Nic, he, him pronouns. I'm a fourth year SMF student with a minor in social development studies.
I'm a fifth year SMF student with a double minor in gender and social justice and peace and conflict studies.
And today we're going to go take a walk around St Jerome's and reminisce about my time here in SMF.
Today we're going to walk around St Jerome's a little bit. I'm going to talk about my favorite memories during undergrad and also what I wish I knew earlier. As you can see, I'm in this parking lot right now, but we're going to go around campus.
Arrived at the University of Waterloo, I thought that it was so weird that I would have a class that was outside of Ring Road, which is basically the border that separates the colleges from the rest of campus. So I sat in one of the bigger lecture halls for SMF 101, Introduction to Family and Relationships, and I had just enrolled in the course because I needed a second option for a potential major and I didn't know what else to take, so I just kind of took that on a whim. After that first course, I was hooked. This program just had so much to offer. It was diverse, interdisciplinary, and so many of the core values were things that I had always valued in my life, but hadn't found a space that welcomed them yet. I declared SMF my major at the end of first year, and then St. Jerome's basically became my second home. I spent all my time here in classes, seeing classmates, attending SMF events, going to office hours. I am actually surprised at how little of the rest of campus I have seen because I spent all of my time here. It's really nice to be back here, even though outside. The pandemic began in my third year, so my entire last year of university was spent in remote learning. See the emptiness inside, and I really miss it, and I think after graduation I'm gonna miss it still.
Something I will definitely miss is coming to the Funkin' during breaks with my classmates and just chatting. And also they make their own in-house cream cheeses. Urban garlic and sun-dried tomato are probably my two favorite, and also their London fogs are just chef's kiss.
The whole class going here for lunch during 3-hour lectures. This place has awesome lattes.
The St. Jerome's library was renovated not that long ago. It's a great place to study. I will definitely miss having group studies here.
I definitely miss being in classes with everybody, especially upper year courses, when you get to know your cohort a little better and everyone's just so on the same page. I mean, everyone holds the SMF vibes and values, and it's just amazing to learn together in a space like that.
And of course, I have to mention some of the courses that impacted me the most during undergrad. The first one I'm going to talk about is SMF 208, which is the Introduction to Systemic Therapies and Anti-Oppressive Practices. I was very lost for most of this course, and Carm kept saying, like, just trust the process. Everything will make sense in the end. I was really not that convinced because I was really lost. But the course is really set up to prepare you for the final project. So students are put into groups to learn about the different isms. For example, it could be about racism, sexism, sizeism, ageism, and so on. Some advice to help you understand the final project is to apply your own social locations and to think about the problem intersectionally, because each issue is not an isolated one. But lastly, just really have fun with the project.
I would definitely say that my favorite course was Sexual and Relational Ethics, SMF 310, which I took right up there. The course just challenged so many norms that we hold and really made us question why we hold them and where they came from. It was a big game changer for me. It also ruined my life now I can't watch a TV show or movie or anything without critically analyzing all the underlying norms about society that's in them, which is probably a good thing. I mean, it's a great skill to have in school and in work and in life, just generally.
The next class I'm going to talk about is SMF 307, which is Conflict, Crisis, and Dissolution in Close Relationships. It was probably one of the toughest ones I ever took, but this course was, I think, a real turning point in my SMF career, especially with my academic writing. I learned so much about my conflict management skills and how to create more productive conversations. For example, The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse by Gottman showed me how destructive some of my habits were, especially with stonewalling. But overall, I think how much you put into this course is how much you get out of it. This was probably my favorite course in undergrad because of how much I got out of it. My last honorable mention of courses is to SMF 301, Communications and Counseling Skills. The counseling skills that you pick up in this class are really not just for counseling. You can apply them to your everyday life and all relationships. You get so much hands-on practice in this class. After SMF, it's really difficult not to critically reflect about every part of your life. Or when you're talking to someone and they're sharing a problem with you, it's difficult to not turn on your therapist's voice. How does their actions make you feel? I'm hearing that you feel very frustrated. Overall, I just think that the skills that you pick up in SMF can apply to you in any work that you do in any field.
Always ask questions.
Something that I wish I knew earlier was probably specializations. I wish I knew about specializations earlier so then I can plan them out accordingly, since some of them are only offered every other year. So for example, I'm graduating with the Counselling Specialization, but the Relational Therapy, which is SMF 308, and Sex Therapy, SMF 309, are only offered every other year, so you need to plan ahead. I will also link down below the specializations in SMF. Of course, the one that I mentioned was Counseling Specialization. There's also the Human Service Practicum Specialization, and then the Intensive Research one. Something else I wish I knew earlier was going to chat with professors. It actually took me a little bit to start going to talk to SMF professors, even though they're very approachable. It's just that when I was in science before I transferred over to SMF, I always got the sense that since the classrooms were so big and I was just one of the hundreds of students, that I never really felt like I mattered. So when I came to SMF, class sizes were a lot smaller and professors really got to know you. I wish I went to more office hours, but every time I did, I always got a clear direction of how to work on a project to get better marks. And I also felt more confident when I handed in assignments. Something else I wish I knew earlier was that I wanted to do SMF as my major earlier. I was actually in science for a lot of my undergrad, and then after I took a break from school, I came back doing SMF as my major rather than my minor. It was probably the best decision I ever made just because I feel like I fit a lot better in SMF. I also had a really big misconception that everyone in this program ended up going into either therapy or education. I personally struggled a lot with this concept, and I guess I was also having a lot of trouble figuring out my next step if I wasn't going into these professions. I guess my next step was something that I really had to look into and try to figure out what I wanted. How I overcame this challenge of my next step was to use my minors, which were Gender and Social Justice and Peace and Conflict Studies, to enrich my degree. The good thing about SMF is how diverse it is. It really fits into almost any other program that you're doing. It teaches you skills that can be pretty much applied to any field. I can list a few of the skills, such as communication and listening in SMF 301, critically thinking about problems, which we do in every course, and adaptability and understanding is something that we constantly do all the time, even through our day-to-day interactions. And these are just some of the skills that I highlighted, but you will learn and gain so much more for being in SMF.
Remember what I learned here. This program introduced me to some fundamental theories and critiques and thinkers that really just expanded my worldview and my capability to understand people in just such a different way.
And moving on, I am applying to the Masters of Peace and Conflict Studies at Waterloo. And interestingly, the coordinator let me know that because I come from SMF, I actually have an advantage for applying, because I come in with such diverse knowledge and education. So really don't discredit yourself for being in SMF.
I'm moving on to a year off after graduation before I start looking at applying at some grad school programs. I'm just so happy that I found SMF, and I think it really gave me a direction in life. And there's so many places you can take an SMF degree, so even though I don't have an exact plan, I feel really secure knowing that whatever I end up choosing, I get to have the opportunity to apply everything that I learned in this program. The communication skills, the self-reflection skills, the critical analysis, the open-mindedness, it just stays with you that way. SMF always made me feel like I had found my place where I belonged, and I'm gonna take that forward with me and expand that belonging to other people in other places.
Please reach out if you ever have any questions. And I'll also leave you with a quote, which is, if you ever end up feeling lost and don't know what to do, just trust the process. Good luck, SMF.